Winter, 480 BC. A Macedonian prince stands before Athenian refugees crowded on the island of Salamis. He carries an offer from Persia: gold, self-government, a rebuilt city. Take it and live wealthy. Refuse and watch Athens burn a second time. They refused. That choice, made in cold and uncertainty, decided the fate of Greece. Salamis did not end the war. Xerxes had retreated to Asia, but he left his general Mardonius behind with the elite core of the Persian army, wintering in Thessaly. Half the invasion force still stood on Greek soil. The Greek alliance was scattered. Peloponnesian troops crouched behind a hastily built wall across the Isthmus of Corinth, refusing to march further north. Athenian families remained on Salamis, their city abandoned. The fleet had dispersed for winter. The war had a year left to run, and the Greeks knew it. Greek unity was a fiction held together by fear. The Peloponnesians had their war and their fleet. Why march into Boeotia to fight for Athens, a city already lost? The Athenians, watching from their island, feared exactly that calculation. They had been abandoned once when Persia first crossed Attica. They could be abandoned again. Into this crack in the alliance, this winter of resentment and suspicion, came a diplomat with a perfectly aimed offer. His name was Alexander I, King of Macedon, ancestor of Alexander the Great, and currently a Persian vassal. To Medes meant to submit to Persia and adopt her alignment, and Macedon had Medized years before. Mardonius sent Alexander precisely because he was Greek-speaking, well-connected and trusted. His offer to Athens was extraordinary: full pardon, complete autonomy, restoration of the burned city, additional territory, and Persian gold. All Athens had to do was leave the alliance. It was the most generous bribe in Greek history, and it was tempting. Athens had real grievances. After Salamis, the Greeks awarded the prize for valor and passed over Themistocles, the architect of the victory. They voted the fleet's honors not to Athens, whose 200 ships had carried the battle, but to tiny Aegina. The Peloponnesians still refused to march. The city was already a ruin. Acceptance would mean wealth, restoration, survival. Refusal would mean another year of war, with allies who might not show up. The Athenian reply, recorded by Herodotus, became one of the great statements of the ancient world. No amount of gold, no expanse of land, however fair, could persuade them to side with the Persians and enslave Greece. Alexander was sent home empty-handed. To reassure them, the Spartans promised, at last, that the Peloponnesian army would march. The alliance held by a thread. Sparta restructured for the coming campaign. In 480, the fleet had been led by Eurybiades and the army by King Leonidas, now dead at Thermopylae, his heir still a child. For 479, Sparta upgraded both posts. King Leotychidas took command of the allied fleet, basing it at Aegina with about 60 triremes, fast warships with 3 banks of oars. And as regent, ruling on behalf of the boy king, Pausanias took command of the land army, ambitious, charismatic, a unifier in the mold of Themistocles. Mardonius answered the rejection with fire. In summer 479, he marched his army back into Attica. Athens had been evacuated again, finding it empty and humiliated by the failed embassy. He ordered the city leveled. Walls, temples, houses, everything still standing. The destruction was thorough and personal. Only a handful of homes survived. The houses where Persian officers had been billeted. Strange islands of intact roofs amid blocks of smoking ruin. This was not military necessity, it was a message. Then Mardonius made the decision that would shape the final battle. He withdrew north across Mount Ciceron into Boeotia, the broad region just north of Attica. Boeotia offered wider flat plains, perfect ground for Persian cavalry. Thebes, the dominant Boeotian city, had Medes. Its food, fodder, and timber were his. He ordered the Theban orchards clear-cut and built a wooden palisade roughly a mile square on the plain near the Asopus River. Inside, his army. Outside, open ground for the cavalry battle he wanted. The winter of 479 is the war's hidden hinge. Athens' refusal of the bribe locked the alliance together. Sparta's new commanders, Leotychidas and Pausanias, would within months win the twin victories at Mycale and Plataea. And Mardonius' chosen ground in Boeotia would be the field where Persia's invasion finally broke. Salamis won the headlines, but the winter won the war.